Hi there. I just want to take a minute to share with you kind of who I am. I had to make some notes because otherwise I would never stay on track. I started doing photography about 15 years ago, and it was when my daughter was born. And I had made a kind of a vow to myself that way back when I was about 10 years old, we had a house fire, and all of our photos, all of our photo albums were toast. And we are down, we went from stacks of photo albums down to just about one. And that was one of the things that I've always missed about our childhood, is not having those photos to go back to. I kind of promised myself that my kids would never have to have that, miss those, opportunities, those photos from their childhood, because I said to myself, I'm going to make sure that that doesn't happen to them. I'm going to make sure that they always have the best photos of themselves as they grow up. And so that kind of stuck with me. So as soon as my daughter was born, I went and, bought a camera, started studying, and I feel like I kind of accomplished my goal, that my kids don't ever have to worry about that. They don't have to think about, oh, I wish I had a picture of this, or wish I had a picture of that. And the reason that kind of expanded from going to making photos for my kids to, wow, I can make photos for other people too, that share my dreams, share my beliefs, and value amazing photography. And it became a goal way back, 15 years ago, that I would become the best photographer within 100 miles of where I was. So I don't know if I've reached that, because to me, I'm not sure that you all ever can be the best at something like what I do. But, I'm trying. So then I just want to talk to you about the kind of clients that I'm drawn to. Usually those are decisive, knowledgeable, and by knowledgeable I mean they've already kind of checked my website, they've looked at my Facebook, they know kind of what they're getting. So they've looked at Pinterest, they've seen me on Twitter, Instagram, all those things. So they kind of know what they're getting and who they're looking for. Another thing is a lot of my clients, they kind of understand what I call the finality of life. They know that life isn't forever. We're not going to be here, forever. And we have to take every opportunity to get those photos, pass them down to our kids. I mean, it amazes me. Just this past week, another one of my clients, that was in some family portraits that I did about 4 years ago, he passed away. And it's the second person in those family photos that isn't here anymore. So for them, for that whole family, those pictures mean exponentially more. And that's what I try to bring across is, it's priceless. Those type of people that are family oriented, I love those people. They know that there's really no price to photography. And what I mean is, you can't really put a price on something like that. By weird, I mean, sometimes I'll find myself talking to photographers, and I'll say, okay, well, how much do you know about your clients? Do you know if they're Clemson fans? Do you know if they have dogs? Do you know where they live? And a lot of times I find they don't know anything. And so I kind of started to notice that I'm kind of a weirdo. But those are the things, to me, that everything I do is about a relationship. You know, knowing my clients, knowing where they live and what they do for a living, and if they have dogs and cats and whatever, how many kids they have, they know that I'm there more for them, and everything I do is about them. You know, most of the time I never talk about myself. I always talk about my clients. You know, and so to me, if I can push them forward, if I can push their dreams and their hopes and their aspirations forward, that's priceless to me, you know, and that's how a lot of times they promote me because of that. The next thing is, crazy enough, I'm always watching romantic movies, all right? If the lighting, everything in it about being romantic and just beautiful lighting and cinematic atmosphere that they use in movies is just amazing to me. And a lot of times, if you look at some of my portraits and wedding photography, that's what I'm after. Is I like it to look very cinematic, you know. There's some movies, like the movie The Best of Me, that I will cry every single time I watch it. The movies that I pick are usually heart-driven, heart movies, you know. So, the things that move me are romance, genuine emotion, and cinematic lighting. My philosophy is that everyone is a miraculous creation of God. You are beautiful because of that. My business name came from, one time I was talking with a wedding vendor, and she said, have you ever seen anyone that was so unphotogenic or ugly that you were like, oh no, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do with those people. And, you know, I looked at her and I said, you know, I never have, because I just see you beautiful. And it was, you know, at that moment that it kind of clicked in my head, you know. So people that I've worked with in the past, they usually tell me I have a calming nature. So when it's wedding day and you're, you know, sweating bullets and you're putting your dress on and everything, and things, you know, maybe there's some few hiccups or something, usually people say, Jonathan is here. Oh, and I felt so calm as soon as you walked in the room, as soon as you talked to me. Everything was just fine. And so I'm a very no panic type person. We'll make it through. Everything's good. And so a lot of times people say, I just met you, but it feels like I've known you for 20 years. Something that I always keep a very close eye on is when we're shooting, I am always concentrating on the compromise between getting the photos and making sure that you are engaged. So I really am not a person that will, you know, I use lighting, I use natural light, I use whatever, and I make sure that at no point you are yawning or checking your watch or like, oh my Lord, he's taking forever. So I'm always concentrating on making sure that it's as fun and fast as efficient as possible. So a lot of times I'll see photographers and they'll be moving their 27 lights around and, you know, getting everything just right and all that kind of thing. And you're just left there like, okay, just take the doggone shot already, you know.